Today on Locked On A's, we are talking about Tony Kemp potentially having already played his last game as an Oakland Athletic due to some recent signings, so we're going to talk about that. And then we're talking about the Rule 5 draft, because I like it, one, and two, you should also like it. So we're going to go over some guys that need to be protected to stay with the A's organization, potentially. We're going to get into all that. And then finally, we're talking about the stupid World Series, because the stupid Astros are doing stupid things, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to be very angry, and I'm going to need your help. So make sure to listen to the last segment as well. But let's get into it, you guys. How's it going, A's fans? And welcome to episode 486 of the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, noted baseball fan Jason Burke, and on today's show, we're talking about Tony Kemp, maybe hitting the free agent market, maybe being a trade guy. I don't know. We're going to talk about why I think that he may have already played his last game with the A's, and then we're talking about the Rule 5 draft, which it's a lot of fun. If you don't know what I mean by Rule 5 draft, oh boy, we're going to have a great time. And then in the final segment, I'm going to need some Astros burns for you guys because it's not looking good in the World Series right now. They currently lead the Philadelphia Phillies 3-2, and we're going to need some retorts. What are your best retorts? I want to know. I'm going to ask you that later, but also I asked you now, so there's that. Also, today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. And also, just make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at ByJasonB on Twitter. If you could give Inside the A's a shout out or a follow on both Facebook and on Twitter. And, lastly, thanks for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. We're free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where this video is currently playing for you if you're watching on YouTube. So that's how that works. But let's talk about Tony Kemp and why I think that he may be gone. Some of the beat writers, some of the people that talk about the A's for a living, they have mentioned that he's the most likely non-tender candidate for the Oakland A's. And non-tender is basically they're arbitration eligible, and the A's don't want to pay them the amount of money that they're probably going to be getting, so they're just like, here, you're a free agent now, so go, be free. And that is the non-tender for you guys in a nutshell, at least. And he's projected to make $3.9 million through arbitration in his final year with the team. And so he's already kind of on the cusp, and it seems as though with the two moves that the A's have made basically all offseason, it feels as though his time is in fact numbered with the Oakland A's. It could be in just a couple of weeks. But Tyler Wade, I mentioned this before. Tyler Wade, he plays second base. That's his best defensive position, and so it would kind of make sense for him to be in the running for a second base spot. And then yesterday they also picked up Yonny Hernandez from the Diamondbacks off of waivers, and his best position is also second base. Both of these guys actually do play, I believe, second, short, and third. So maybe, just maybe, they're like, yeah, they're going to be the third base guy. They're the third base option, and that could mean that Vimial Machin instead could be on his way out the door. But it'd be mean, because he ended the season on the paternity list. Please don't do that, because he's still good, and he's not costing money. So that's why everybody points to Tony Kemp there, because the A's got some interesting outfielders. They've got Connor Capel and Cal Stevenson, and obviously they have Christian Pache and Seth Brown, and currently Ramon Laureano, and I'm missing one, but I liked him as well. Cody Thomas is another one. They've got some guys, and they're all roughly big league ready, or at least they need some run. And so if you're going to be giving those guys, if you need 4 or 5 outfielders of those types in the big leagues, maybe probably 4, then that would probably push Tony Kemp over to second base, which would mean the 2 additions that the A's have made in Tyler Wade and Yonny Hernandez, with also having Jordan Diaz, who might be a second baseman, having him around, it really doesn't seem as though he's going to have a home unless he's going to be the everyday left fielder, which is not necessarily how you utilize him. So it seems as though the Tony Kemp era in Oakland is coming to a close, and that kind of stinks. I hope that I'm wrong, but it seems as though the writing is on the wall. And also, the 2 guys that the A's brought in, they're interesting. I mean, Tyler Wade he's a lefty. That's one. He hasn't had a good season necessarily. He had one good season, but he had like 150 plate appearances, so small sample size. He's good defensively, so that's solid. But he can hit the ball to all fields, and I think that might be something that we see the A's and maybe other teams as well do a little bit more this offseason, is go and get guys that have some skills, but they can make contact, which is something that we've already been seeing them do, but also contact to all fields. And that's also something that Yonny Hernandez, I believe, does. He makes contact at least, because the shift is going to be coming into play in 2023. And so if you can hit it to all fields, you can't really be played. I mean, there's no shift per se, but if you're hitting it to all fields, they got to play you mostly straight up, and you might be able to find some more holes that way. So, hey, we'll see. They might not be able to cheat as easily as they did before. We'll see what happens here. But that's my rudimentary logic on what's going on with these two signings. Also, they're just like a couple of guys that make really good contact. Yonny Hernandez walks over 10% of the time in his minor league career. Also, he had a good walk rate in the big leagues as well. And he hasn't struck out more than 20% at any stop ever, including when he was hitting 083 in the big leagues last season in 12 games. He still did not strike out 20% of the time, which means he's got good bat to ball. He just doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't have quality of contact. He has good contact, but he's not hitting it hard. He's hitting it like 6 miles per hour below league average. So that's something that you definitely want to work on. Maybe it's a timing thing. Maybe it's a swing path thing, but maybe they see something that they think that they might be able to fix or address and give him a better shot at being a productive big leaguer than the Diamondbacks were. So I'm intrigued by the Yonny Hernandez signing, if I'm being honest. I'm very intrigued. But Tyler Wade, he's been with the Angels. He's been with the Yankees. He's had a couple of, mostly the Yankees is who I'm referring to here. He's had some guys telling him, how to do things with, money behind it. And I don't know that the A's are going to be able to really address any of his shortcomings thus far, but they might be able to give him some more run, which is something that neither the Angels nor the Yankees were able to do. They might be able to give him playing time, and that might be all that he needs. So maybe that's what's going on with Tyler Wade. But I'm intrigued by both guys. I'm not saying that either of them is necessarily guaranteed a spot on the opening day roster, but this is also, the World Series isn't even over yet. Free agency has not begun. We have not seen any non-tenders because you can't. So I think that it might be the first couple of steps towards getting rid of some of the guys on the roster, and Tony Kemp being one of those guys. They also announced some other moves. They outrighted Colin Wiles, Nate Mondu, Austin Pruitt, Jorge Ruiz. I'm missing one. I'm so sorry for the one guy that I'm missing. To the guy, not because I don't remember, but because it seems like I forgot a person, and I feel bad for that. But they outrighted some guys, and so their 40-man roster is currently at 40 men, which is the max. But also, they also still have Stephen Vogt, who's going to be retiring at the conclusion of the actual season, the World Series season, and then Chad Pinder is going to be hitting the free agent market as well. So their 40 man's actually at 38. So they got 2 spots, and that includes all of the guys on the 60-day IL. That includes everything. I counted it one by one on the roster page. So trust me. So that's the A's have some roster flexibility a little bit, I guess. So that means that we got to talk about the Rule 5 draft, which is coming up in about a month. So who's Rule 5 eligible? Who could the A's be losing? I'm going to give you guys a bunch of the names that are on the table for other teams. I'm focusing mostly on the upper minors guys because the lower minors guys are part of the minor league portion, and nobody knows how that works because it's confusing. I got an idea, but I'll let you know it here in just a minute, so stay around. I didn't hit pause. BetOnline is your number one source for betting football and the start of the basketball season. There's also hockey, which is played with pucks. You can watch it on Disney+. It's called Game Changers. That's a joke. That is a Mighty Ducks show that is now on Disney+, which I watched the first season, and it was delightful. So if you like the Mighty Ducks, go watch that too. But you can bet on hockey over at BetOnline. That's the takeaway from those words there. Also, find the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest. What better combination than fast and easy? BetOnline has you covered with the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including baseball, MMA, boxing, golf, table tennis, other things. I've said this before, but who is Tom Brady going to date next? That's what I want to know. That's what BetOnline has odds for. So if you know, go to BetOnline, bet on who Tom Brady is going to be dating next, because you can. Why not? Why not throw $1 on that? That's a good time right there. So head on over to the website or use your mobile device to learn more, because BetOnline, that's where the game starts, guys. Can you tell that it's Friday? I'm having fun. I like reading BetOnline ones because they're wackadoo insane. Anyways, welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. We're on YouTube now, so go check out our YouTube videos. Subscribe to that channel. Leave a comment. Leave a thumbs up. Say, hey, we're glad that you're back. I could see your face again, and you've aged poorly. Fatherhood has ruined your once majestic face. Those are great comments. Just spitballing here for you guys, though. Also, thank you guys so much for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Sports Today. It's a fantastic show hosted by the world-renowned Peter Bukowski. I'm going to say world-renowned Peter Bukowski. He's great. So go listen to that show. It's a nice recap of all of the biggest stories in sports, and I legitimately enjoy the production value of that show. So go listen. It's fantastic. But also make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I am by Jason B on Twitter, and please give Inside the A's a little follow on Twitter and on Facebook. And check out the site, too. Why not? Check out the site. It's an affiliation with Sports Illustrated, so you know that it's good. But let's talk about the Rule 5. And I got a bunch of names written down, so I'm gonna have to read these, because I did not memorize the entirety of this list, because it's massive. And this is not even the entire list. There's a whole list. I'll tell you where to find it. It's on Fangraphs under the roster resource page. Click on Athletics. You can see all of the guys that are Rule 5 eligible. These are the top guys that I have deemed eligible, and also maybe not all of these guys are going to be like in trouble here. So I'm just going to give you a bunch of names. We're going to go over them real fast, and then we're gonna move on and talk about the World Series. And you remember, as I'm doing this, take in what I'm saying, obviously, but also think of some real good burns against the Houston Astros. That's multitask. That's all. Okay. Anyways, here we go. First guy up, Kyle McCann. He had a horrendous 2021. He bounced back very nicely. Both seasons were mostly in Midland. He got a call up to AAA Las Vegas late in the season, so he's probably going to be on the Vegas roster to begin the 2023 season, which means he's probably not going to be drafted in the Rule 5 draft, because he is a AA catcher, mostly, nobody's going to probably have him be their backup catcher, because that's an important position on the field. And he's been okay. He hasn't been great. He had a nice bounce back season. It seems like he refocused. Good for him. He hit .238 with a .342 on base and a .449 slug in 2022. So nice rebound season. I'm intrigued to see where he goes from here. But depending on what the A's do with Sean Murphy and all that, he could be the A's backup catcher for a minute there, or, later in the season. So we'll see what happens there. But he's got some nice stuff. So we'll see what happens. J.J. Schwartz is another catcher. He started the season in Vegas, which the Aviators themselves pointed out to me. I had written this a little blurb on him, and I was like, oh yeah, he started off in Midland, also got called up to Vegas, just like Kyle McCann. And he was like, actually, he started in Vegas? And I was like, that's my bad, Las Vegas Aviators. That I didn't look at his game log is what had happened. So yeah, J.J. Schwartz, similar profile there. He had a very good season in Midland, but I don't know. I don't think that he's going to be drafted either. So those are two guys, Logan Davidson and Jeremy Ironman. Those are both middle infield prospects for the A's. Logan Davidson and Nick Allen were supposed to be like the two guys coming up through the middle infield. And Logan Davidson's been okay. He's been all right. Jeremy Ironman, really, both these guys were in Midland in 2021. They were both Midland again in 2022. And Ironman, his stats kind of tanked in 2022. They got worse, which is not a great sign. His strikeout rate went down a little bit, but it's still like 33%, I believe. And his walk rate went from like 8 or 9 to 5.5. So not a great trend line if we're talking about that. So I don't know that either of these guys is going to be in jeopardy of being selected in the Rule 5 draft, at least in the major league portion, maybe in the minor league portion. But okay, let's get into the minor league portion. Nobody knows how this thing works. It's all voodoo. But I believe my understanding here is that you put where you plan on, putting your guys before the Rule 5 draft throughout the minor league system. So say you got Tyler Soderstrom. Bad example, but heading into this year, you're like, he's going to be in Lansing. And so you're like, all right, cool. Do we want to push him further? And he's not on the front. He wasn't eligible, but a guy like that. Do we want to take this guy who has only played at, low A? Do we want to have him be a double A player now? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I think that's generally how that works is you put him at a level. If a selecting team thinks that he can go to a level above that, then maybe they get drafted. Also, I started this thing and I didn't even tell you how the Rule 5 draft works. That's my bad. Let's backtrack on that real quick. I should learn how to edit one of these days. Anyways, so guys that are eligible for the Rule 5 draft, it's not everybody. So that's one thing. But guys that were 19 or older when they signed in 2019 or earlier, those guys all eligible. And then guys that were signed in 2018 at the age of 18 or younger, they're also all eligible. So you get like 4 or 5 years of control of these guys before they are Rule 5 eligible. And that is basically the synopsis. I tried to cliff note that for you guys real quick. So 2019, 19 or older, that's currently the year cutoff right now. Next year it'll be 2020. And the ages won't change, but just the years. And then it's also 18 or younger from 2018 signees or draftees. So that is how that works. So like high school guys that were drafted in 2018, they're now eligible. It's essentially, I believe I'm saying that right. Going off the cuff, trying to explain rules. So that's the Rule 5 draft. Not everybody's eligible, but these guys have been in the system for a few years now. That is why they're now eligible, blah, 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 blah. Let's continue. Here's some guys that I think the A's may need to protect. First off, we got Yuribel Angeles, who I talked about briefly, I believe, during the season. He was acquired in the Sean Manaea trade along with Adrian Martinez, and he is 20 years old. He spent the whole season in Lansing. He was good. He hit 278, 279, somewhere in there. He's got some speed. He's got some good contact. I like him a lot. There's no way the A's are going to let him go, mostly because he was part of a trade that just happened, and he did well in the season that they had him. So he's not going to go anywhere. I don't know that they necessarily need to add him to the 40-man roster to keep him. So if you don't see him there, they just have an aggressive assignment for him or something like that, or he's going to be in Double-A and nobody's going to take him in the Triple-A draft. He's not going anywhere, is, I believe, where we should land on that. I don't know that he's going to be on the 40-man roster just because he's going to be in Double-A, but hey, let's see. Maybe he is, and maybe they need to clear out a couple more spots, which is maybe why Tony Kemp is going to be potentially non-tendered or traded. So there's that. Moving on, Chase Calabuig. I hope that I'm saying that right. Calabuig. Calabuig? I'm going to go with Calabuig. If you say it fast, everything sounds good when you say it fast and with confidence. So Chase Calabuig, he hit .313 with a .394 on base and a .437 slugging in Double-A. He's a nice... He walked a decent amount. He has a good strikeout rate. So those are two good things that the A's are looking for always. And he also has a similar profile to Max Schumann, who is a contact speed profile. He walks a little bit less, struck out a little bit more than Chase Calabuig. But Calabuig also, he'd been in Double-A since 2019. He played a decent amount in 2019. 2020 was canceled, obviously, because of COVID. And then he was put back there to see, like, hey, where are you at? Where are you at? And he was not at his return to the diamond was not great. So then he was back there in 2022, and he performed much better. He's now 26 years old, so that kind of stinks. COVID kind of screwed everything up for him, and I feel bad for that. But him and Max Schumann maybe potentially fighting for a roster spot here, or maybe the A's add both of them and say screw it. And then the other big guy here is Lawrence Butler. He's currently playing the AFL. He's great. He's a power speed guy. He's 22 years old. He absolutely demolished Lansing, I believe. And he had 11 home runs, 13 stolen bases. He can do it all. I like him a lot. He can play right field, center field, and first base, I believe. So it's a heck of a combination. He's a modern day Seth Brown. But yeah, I think that those are the four guys that I would be concentrating on, making sure that they get 40-man roster spots. You got Uriel Angeles, Chase Calabwig, say it fast, and then you got Max Schumann and also Lawrence Butler. Those are the four main guys, I would say. Guys that are familiar to A's fans, you have Austin Beck and Lazaro Armenteros, or Lazarito as he's more well known. Those guys aren't getting protected, but hey, they might get picked, so there's that. Then you got Colin Palouse, who I believe I just talked about a week ago or so, and I said that he's either going to be just non-released, or I think that he's going to get traded. I think that's what it is. I think that he's currently in the Arizona Fall League as a showcase for other teams so that hopefully the A's can get something for him, or maybe he's going to be selected in the Rule 5 draft. So there's that. Then you got Hogan Harris, another guy that A's fans know a little bit about. He's had some good times too, so maybe, but I don't know. All of the other pitchers that are Rule 5 eligible. You got Jack Cushing, Parker Dunshee, Ty Damron, David Leal, who is very interesting because he does not throw hard. He throws like mid-80s. He's ridiculous, and he's fun to watch. He didn't have a great time as he got bumped up the ladder a little bit, but he was absolutely crushing Lansing, so that was fun. Brady Feigl, Brian Howard, Bryce Conley. Wow, I cannot read my handwriting. And then also Chase Cohen. Those are the pitchers that are available. There's a bunch of position players as well, but they're all a little bit younger, and I don't know that they're all minor league, or the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft day. So I'm not covering that. All right, so that is a quick synopsis, a one-segment synopsis of the Rule 5 draft and who the A's need to protect, really. They got 2 spots right now. They could have more in the coming weeks. I believe the deadline to protect the guys from the Rule 5 is November 15th. I believe that's the date. I've seen a bunch of dates of late. And then the Rule 5 draft is, I believe, December 6th. It's the last day of the winter meetings. So it's early December. There you go. Boom. Anyways, coming up on the show, we're talking about the World Series, and we are going to have some fun. So stick around. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show and you've made it this far, please leave us a 5-star review on your platform of choice, or if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the dang channel. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Give Inside the A's. Go to the website, first off, and then also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at Inside the A's. But let's talk about the World Series because it's not going well. Since we've last talked, the Philadelphia Phillies have been no hit, which is not great. And then also Justin Verlander somehow used magic to get out of all of the jams. And the Philadelphia Phillies, every time I looked at the TV, they had runners on base with 2 outs. And every single time the stupid Astros got out of it, it was very infuriating for the world. So I didn't like that. So yeah, there's that. I don't like this World Series. It's dumb, and there's that. So here I am, and I've noticed that I'm a bad analysiser of baseball in the playoffs. Maybe that's why I'm an A's fan still, because I could look at the A's and be like, oh yeah, they're probably not gonna do it, but I still believe. So I'm a bad analysiser, one who is bad at analysis. And I'm going to go ahead and say the Astros are going to throw a perfect game in Game 6. And if needed Game 7 because they're the best baseball team of all time, and they definitely deserve everything in the world, and they should definitely win the World Series. And I'm saying this because everything that I've said on this podcast previously the opposite has happened. So I'm doing opposites. I'm doing a reverse psychology. So that's what's going on here. So don't believe the things that I just said. Don't believe that. No. The Astros suck. But I didn't say that loudly and with confidence. So the Astros are the best team in the world, and I like all of their fans just fine. So, but really they're awful. They're not great. I don't like the Astros. But yeah, great team, good time. Really enjoy rooting for the Astros. And Alex Bregman, stand-up guy. He's really the only one that I can poke fun at. But coming up in Game 6, you got Zach Wheeler, who got crushed a little bit in Game 2. He's going to be going in Game 6 in this one. And then we got these guys going again. You got Framber Valdez, who was very, very good against the Phillies. And they get to do that again. So, hey, if the Phillies can win Game 6, anything's on the table. I'm intrigued. I want to see a Game 7 at the very least. So make that happen, Phillies. Go Phils. Is that how we do it? Yeah, I don't know. World Series is dumb so far, but I'm hoping for a good ending. And so there's that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. For your second listen today, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. For the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. But that's all that I got for you guys today. So until next week when I'm talking to Mason Miller, so subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to the podcast. I'm talking to Mason Miller. You want to hear about how he throws 100? You're going to have to listen to Locked On A's. But that's all that I got for you guys today. So until next time, go out and celebrate good times, A's fans, and I will talk at you next week.